Hello everyone, this is Plankara, and welcome to my universe. Today, I'm going to continue rigging Shalom from Path to Nowhere. I put up a schedule yesterday, so you will know what I am doing every day now. Hello there, Yeji Kitty. But yes. So now, I basically have my weeks planned out. And everything will be up there, so you can decide which streams you want to come to. Anyway, I was just looking at this again this morning, and found a couple of places I wanted to touch up down here, and then I'll head back to the upper right. Oh, what's the problem? I have worn belts with skirts before, so... I see. I'm trying to picture how that would work. Do you mean like the belt buckle was in the back, or did you accidentally like put it upside down so the belt buckle was facing in or something? Or is it like a rope, more rope-like attached belt? There's lots of different kinds of belts. Ah, I see. That would do it. Look, it's just a passion statement. Don't worry about it. In all likelihood, that's probably true. And I think even the occasional person that might notice that the writing is upside down, probably won't care. They got their own things to worry about. Alright, so there's just a couple of problems on this little brown strand here. I think it's mostly fine. I just want it to better match up with the right turn than it currently is. I've said before, these little strands are a little bit finicky. They always seem to know exactly what they want, but not well enough to actually explain to me what it is. So I kind of have to dig around. It's okay, I have little kids, so I'm kind of used to that. Well, it's fine, I mean, clothes are clothes, just wear what works. I'm sure that there are people out there that would be... the people that would know me in real life would be very surprised to know that I like games like Infinity Nikki. Because I just... I do not really pay that much attention to clothes in real life. I basically channeled all of my interest in fashion into character design. And I just do not really care about what I wear in real life. I do like character design. And the best part about dressing up in video games or drawing characters and stuff is you don't have to worry about it being practical. You don't actually have to move in it. Nobody does. Because the characters aren't real. So you can make whatever you want, and it's fine. It's fantastic. It's the joy of fiction. Oh, that's very unfortunate. It's always sad when the people in your life put you in such awkward situations where you have to make choices like that. I mean, adults are people too. Even adults don't have the world figured out, and even they still have emotions and whatnot, and will make decisions based on them. Even if they are sometimes unreasonable. But even as you grow, you never stop being human. So you can run into all manner of human folly. Just kind of the way it is, and something to keep in mind as you grow up too. Your brain will develop, but your human nature won't change. I have no way of knowing if that's true or not. It's one of those statements that sounds kind of odd to me, and maybe you're misunderstanding something, but, you know, I've met people like that, where they don't want anyone around them to be friendly with anyone but them. Or they want you to do certain specific things, so that's why I say I have no way of knowing how true that statement is. My voice is real. This is what I sound like. I do not use any kind of voice changers or the like. Thank you. Man, I swear, the tips of these strands, they just never want to work with me. Having to go deep into mesh consultation here, just to figure out what is going on. I had been leaving a lot of these vertices at what I feel is close enough, but maybe I should be a little bit more choosy, considering that the strand does not want to work with me, so I will just try to match it 1-to-1 and see if that gets me what I want. Easier said than done, but, well, I gotta try. I will do my best. I don't actually see a lot that's super off, though, so... that bodes well, hopefully. I didn't before either, but yet when I looked at the strand, zoomed out, the tip was just all wrong. Okay, this is probably fine. I just want to change the angle that the tip here is pointing. Then there's like that weird lump there. Is that here too? Yeah, I guess that strand's just a little lumpy. It's fine. I will call that good enough. Yeah, that's probably fine. Okay, back to the upper right. So, yesterday I did a bunch of stuff up here, and most of the side strand here. So I shall see if I can finish off the rest. I see a couple of things that I kind of want to fix. Oops. Up at the top end there. Let me see how all this is lining up across the top. Yeah. I think it's mostly fine there, so whatever I do to make things line up with the right turn just a little bit better should work out for me. In theory. Okay, I think I have a better idea of why I do not like the highlights here. There's like spot off screen that needs to come down. Okay. And then I just need to point the very tips of the highlights in the right direction. Looks like on the right turn they're kind of pointing this way. More toward the right. I think that's fine, so I'll just do the same thing there, and then I think it'll be okay. And then to line them up at the top, I think I need to make them slightly longer. So I will do that too. Alright, yeah, that is much better. And then there's this little shadow area right underneath them. Right underneath the shadows. The highlights. Right underneath the highlights. Kinda want to tuck that in just a tad. Can't really do anything about there. Where is that vertex? On my right angle? Yeah, it's just right there. Okay, that should be fine. Something about that dark spot just bothered me a little bit, so... Oh yeah, now it seems to be lining up fine. Cool. Wasn't so bad at all. Okay. Let me do another quick check there, just to make sure that there's nothing that I am missing. Seems fine. Alright. So back down here. Last time I stopped at kind of this upper area because I didn't want to get all fiddly with the strands. I was getting tired and hungry, and that seems like a bad state to trying to be wrangling strands in. I mean, just like I demonstrated this morning, they don't typically like to cooperate with me. They know what they want, but they lack the ability to explain. Terrible, terrible combination. Oh man. This reminds me of dealing with my 3-year-old when he's starting to get to the age where he knows what he wants. He has a basic understanding of reality. And so he has expectations now. Genuine expectations. And sometimes those expectations do not align with reality and are not physically possible. Like once he asked me if I could make it stop raining. No, I'm afraid I cannot stop it from raining. That is beyond my power. And he got very upset with me because he is still under the impression that mommy can do anything. But alas, I cannot. Or there's other times where he wants specific things, but lacks the vocabulary to explain it. Like yesterday, he wanted to play a superhero game on the tablet that he has, and I had no idea what game he was talking about. I went through about, man, it had to be at least a dozen different games that had like a superhero icon or theme to them. And he was like, no, it's what superhero game? I was not able to figure out what he was talking about, but he wanted a very specific game, and nothing would be an appropriate substitute. Fortunately, because he's 3 and he lacks much of an attention span still, I was able to distract him with a game about trucks. So he still got happy. But this is about how I feel about the strands. They know what they want. But they do not have the right means to tell me. They will make me go through a dozen superhero games and will still not find the right one. I swear, many adults have rose-tinted glasses about what it's like to be a kid. Because you don't have a lot of the responsibilities that come with an adult. But you have all kinds of new problems that come with being a kid. And some adults I don't think can respect that. Okay. So here I noticed that some of the little highlights were a bit off, and what I was fixing before was around this kind of pink area where I felt like it was being stretched out a little bit. So I needed to just readjust the vertices and make sure that they had equal distance away from each other that they did before. And even these, I feel like, are the highlights that I'm working on now. Still feel a little bit stretched to me. So I'm gonna try to get these vertices a little bit more evenly spaced so that hopefully that will eliminate all of my stretching problems. Okay, yeah, that's better. They're still getting a little bit close together here, because I'm gonna zoom in here. There's two little highlights here. So there's the one here, then there's a dark spot in the middle, and a light one. And I'm noticing that when I move into my upward turn, they get a little bit closer together. The dark spot gets a little bit thinner. Oh no. Hopefully it's not the same kind of curse that seems to be happening with me every time I plan to do a new gaming stream. I get sick. Alas. Okay, that seems fine. I'd say they're about the right distance apart. I still want to adjust a couple of the outer vertices here, though. Ah, thank you. This one isn't one that I drew. This is official art from a game that I cut out and decided I wanted to try to rig. It was maybe a bit premature for me to do something with hair like this, but it's okay. It's been a good time. And I really do like the art in this game. I would like to do it again someday, maybe when I have a bit more rigging experience. I will probably have to do some practicing off-stream before I'm ready to do another big model like this. Alright, I guess it's just time to continue down. And this strand is bothering me more, so I guess I'll do that one first. This is the start of the strand. So I'm trying to make sure that it's in a good spot there. And I'm wanting the vertices to go a little bit higher, since her head is tilting up. But I'm trying to find the right balance between going a little bit higher and being roughly the same distance apart from each other. I'm not quite sure if I found that balance with this one, but I think it's fine for now, so I'm gonna move on to the next one. And I'll just keep going down like that until the entire strand is in place. And we'll see how much this one wants to cooperate with me today. Whether it can properly explain what it wants from me. Needless to say, I am perhaps mildly nervous. Because they never seem to know what they want. Or maybe they know exactly what they want and just expect me to read their mind. But I cannot read their mind. I am unfortunately merely a human. Man, even just looking at this with the mesh on, I'm looking at the art through the mesh. I still don't think it looks right. So that's why I am staring very, very carefully, trying to find where these things should go. It's very precise, because I feel like every little movement is just magnified tenfold on strands like this. For some reason, when there's a lot more texture or more of the actual art around, and everything isn't just surrounded by void, the exact placement of things seems to matter a little bit less. At least this is just what I am observing. Once I get to those ends, man, I feel like every little movement I make is just so important. And if I get it even slightly wrong, everything just looks terrible. So here we are, staring at the mesh until I manage to get all the way down to the bottom here. But I think I'm getting it there. I'm just really watching how all of the little vertices here move. And I think it's getting there. Okay, this should, in theory, be kind of close. Let's see how that actually is in practice here. Okay, I'm not sure if it's 100% right, but it is probably like 80 or 90% right, and that is good enough for now. I'll revisit it when I get everything else a little bit closer, because when everything else is more in line, I think it'll be easier to tell what things I need to fix in order to get all this. So I think that means the next part is going to be this brown strand. Okay. I think I'd prefer to do the brown strand before I do this part, just because so much of what controls the brown strand also controls this part, unfortunately, because of how I meshed it. Little bit awkward, but I will manage. That was one thing my past self did not quite think through. I think I just assumed that this part would not be moving very much. Which, while accurate, may be a little less accurate than I would have liked. It's not moving that much, but it's moving enough that it's pretty hard to work things out with the mesh like this. But it is what it is. I do not feel like going back and fixing the mesh. I am too far along. It would require me to go back and redo so many head angles, and it's just like, why at this point? I'll just suffer a little bit here, it's fine. The pain will help me remember not to do this again in the future. Wasn't planning on poking at that strand, but I guess if I'm looking at the mesh, I might as well do a little bit there too. Just whatever I see moving, not quite the way I want it to be. Man, there is something loose in my glasses, and it just keeps clicking in my ears. I'm definitely gonna have to get that fixed. It's such a tiny sound, but because it's right next to my ear, it's actually quite annoying. Alright, almost down to the end. Knowing how the strand strand tends to be. I wouldn't be surprised if I have to do this a couple more times before I finally get it right. But I can do that. I feel like things are actually moving pretty well today. The one strand in the lower right aside. Everything else, I feel like it's going pretty well. Okay, once again, not 100%, but I think it's pretty good. So now I want to line up this part here. The part where the hair here ends and kind of splits off into these little strands. That gray line. Maybe some of the shadows around here too, because I think they need to be thinner or thicker. Is my brain being dyslexic? Slightly thicker. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the line here. Let's see, there's still something there that's not moving quite right. Yeah, just this guy needed to be a little bit lower. That should fix what I'm seeing. Yeah, close enough. Okay. So right here, right there, what do I see? I'm trying to explain what I see a little bit more clearly, see if I can actually put it into words. Because words are hard. So what I see is that the very top of this line needs to move a little bit to the right. Same with a little bit down here, but again, very gently. Then there's a little bit of sliding in that line, so that means one of the vertices controlling it is a little bit too high or too low. Probably this one, and I think it would look better up there. And this one as well. There we go. It's like I'd name the vertices, this way I could talk about them a little bit more easily, but there's too many. I would run out of names within like 30 seconds. And worse, I probably wouldn't remember any of them. I've always been pretty bad with names, if I'm being honest. Okay, and now... yeah, I think everything around here is okay, so now it's just the end. The end that feels off. And for that, I think I'm actually going to consult the mesh and just go down this tip. We'll do them together, because they heavily affect one another. Man, getting all these things the right width is also an adventure in and of itself. Gotta look carefully at all these things. Art is hard. Alright, and I've made it all the way to the end. So once I finish adjusting these last few vertices, we'll see how things look. Because that should be at least a first pass on the entire strand, and then we'll see how much more I have to fix. Okay, hold on. I have to do something here. Okay. The clicking for my glasses was driving me slightly insane. But I think I stopped it for now. Okay, yeah, not bad. Not bad for a first pass. I think all of them are pretty close. This one, I think, barely needs any touching up at all. I actually kind of like how it almost looks like it's twisting a little bit when it goes up. I think that looks pretty good. But there are still a couple of areas that I want to adjust there. Let me make sure everything is lining up here. Yep, seems fine. Okay. So, which one do I want to start with? I think I'm going to start with the brown. Alright, back to the brown one. And now I can look a little bit more closely with lots of... with fewer things no longer squirming? Or fewer things squirming, yes. Because I have fixed some stuff. So with any luck, I will notice a few more vertices that are not quite in the right place. And I will be able to fix them. And thus, make this area a little bit stronger. Just have to be able to follow the movement and the general pulse of all of my little vertices. Gently guide them into place. Once again, I'm just trying to look very, very closely because I know that it won't work if I don't. I saw what happened on the lower right this morning. I know how finicky this area is. So I am staring extremely closely with everything my eyes have got. And I am just gonna make sure that everything is lining up as closely as I can manage before I go and check things. Because nothing else will satisfy me. I guess I'll do over here too. Kind of do them together. So I think I have the brown one in a fairly decent spot. So let's adjust this thicker white one too. And go from there. I'll check the brown one more time after, just to make sure that I've gotten everything. I actually already see a little bit of squirming in the vertices out of the corner of my eyes, so that tells me that I missed a spot somewhere. Not sure where yet. I'm not gonna look. I am focusing entirely on this one. But it does mean that I should give the brown one another look before I stop. Okay, that should be fine. Let me make sure I got all the other ones to my liking. No, I think this one is still in the wrong spot. Need to go a little bit higher up. Oh wait, that was the wrong angle. Herpaderp. Oh, whoops. I thought that looked strange, but here we are. That's when you know you've been staring at the mesh for too long, when you can't tell one angle from another. Okay, that actually looks good for both of them. Cool, alright. One last strand to stare at, and then I'll be done. Hooray! Oh man. See, this is why I wanted to save all these loose strands for the end. They're kind of a pain to work with. I wouldn't quite say I hate it, but I wouldn't exactly say I like it either. But it's like, hey, this just... I just have to remind myself, the fact that I'm doing this now means I am almost done. I have like one more strand to really stare at. Most of the ones that I have hidden over here are all hidden because I plan to do them with the body turns. It's really only these two that I have to worry about, and that is it. And then the back hair. Yes, the hair that goes behind her head. Oh man, it's gonna be so nice to be done with these, though. The head turns, that is. And then next time I touch hair, well, it'll be for body turns, strictly speaking. But the next time I touch this hair, the hair that I'm working on right now, will be for physics. And physics are fun. Physics are so much fun. We'll see how light and fluffy I can make her hair. It'll be very exciting. I'm so excited. But I want to do body turns first, since I do have a little bit of hair that I need to get working for those body turns. I guess I could talk a little bit about why I decided to do the shoulder hair with body turns. For one, I am very sick of hair. That is definitely a factor. But the main reason, just because I feel like her shoulder should also be having a say in how the hair moves. I'm still going to have I'm still going to have that hair movement tied to the head turns. But I plan to have the body and the head move together when the puppet here, the model, is actually being controlled. Like, it's kind of hard to see on mine because you only see me from, like, the bust up. But if you look, when I turn my head, the body moves with it. And that is not my body moving. It is also controlled by my head. The tracking program really only sees the head. And so I plan to do a similar thing here, so when the head moves, the body will move with it. So they will be moving together. So that means that I can kind of rig them together. Strictly speaking, I could even put the body movement on the head turns itself, but I want a separate parameter for it. I think it's a little bit easier to manage, and it'll make me feel good about myself. Plus, it means that if I need to pull any shenanigans with, like, vertices in between here, I can more freely add them without affecting the head turns and stuff like that. And if I ever want to make any animations or something with this model, then I can move the body and head independently as I feel like. So things like that. So that's why I still want the body turns to be on a separate parameter. But at least in terms of how the model will be controlled, head and body will move together, so I can use her body to kind of help me figure out what the hair over her shoulder should look like. And I think that will just make my life easier, and I do like making my life easier when I can. Life is hard. No need to make it any harder. Okay, so I feel like there's something a little bit off just right here. Not quite sure what, so I'm going to consult the mesh one more time. See what it has to say. Doesn't have a lot to say, unfortunately. Oh, mesh, why have you forsaken me? Okay. Okay, yep, and I think that is good. Hooray! Can she nod at this angle now? Yes, I think she can. Excellent, so that means it is time for the next strand. And like I said, I think I want to do the right turns for this one first. So here I'm gonna just double check to make sure that I like the way my turn for this is shaking out. See, it's nice and easy because in the right turn, most of this is just shoved under the rug where I don't have to worry about it. So basically, the only part that I have to worry about is the very top, which I think is fine, and the very end of this strand all the way down there. And that is the part that I'm looking at now. I am just checking the end. It does look a little bit funny, especially like right here. I might add like another keyframe in between here to smooth this out a little bit. Haven't decided. It's like I already know that I'm gonna need something here because I can kind of see the line from the mask that hides the headline. Kind of doing weird things over there that I've been ignoring this entire time. So I know I'm gonna need some, so maybe I will fix that up. But for now, how it should look here. That is a concern for future me. Present me just wants to double check this curve, and I think I want to change it a little bit. I actually like it being a little bit straight. It kind of gives the impression that it's turning with her head a little. But I want it to be a little bit smoother. Right now, a little bit crunchy. So I'm just gonna smooth out all of this. And it's not surprising that it's a little bit crunchy. If you've ever seen people try to rig a tail or something, for example, like when you draw a tail on an animal, or a cat girl, or whatever else you might be drawing a tail for, you typically want to draw it in a nice curve. It looks way more natural. It looks really unnatural if you make it super straight. Like, if you draw a cat girl with a super straight tail, it's gonna look like she's just freaking out. You know, like a scared cat. But, when you are drawing something with the intent to rig it, you do want to draw that tail super straight. Super duper straight. Embrace how unnatural it looks. You gotta, because if you don't, it's gonna be impossible to reverse the direction of that tail. It's typically when you draw a tail for the sake of rigging it, you want it to sway back and forth, and to that, the curl of the tail needs to be able to switch directions. And it is so much easier to get that kind of movement when you draw the tail perfectly straight. So even though it looks unnatural, it makes it a lot easier to get natural movement from it when you rig it. So the fact that I'm trying to take this curl and make it straight is actually not easy. It's probably always going to look a little bit crunchy, but I think that is fine. I think what I have here is fine. Yeah. Yeah, it's totally fine. Looks good. I am satisfied. Okay. So yes, the fact that I'm taking that curve and trying to make it fairly straight, pretty hard. That's why, in order to get rid of some of the crunchiness, I'd had it curve in the same direction, just a little bit less. So now I will do the same thing just up here, and this is, oh my. Look at that silly strand, look at it go. Just derp, derp, derp. Okay, so we do the bottom first. I choose to suffer later instead of now. We will put it off. I'm look at the mesh to see how I want this to move exactly. Okay. And then I think I will make this a little bit longer. There we go. But I think that will be fine. Question mark. Not quite fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Now, because this is the strand, I consult the mesh and try not to lose my mind. Getting all the vertices about the same distance apart as they were on the previous turn. It's okay. I got this. Just kind of straighten things out. Not too worried about getting it perfect. I'm just getting the gist so that this way I can consult the mesh and yeah, get it the rest of the way there. Because I can see that it is straighter. And I do not think that all of these vertices were same length apart to begin with. Yep. Okay. So now it is detailing time, where I just go back and forth, look at how the mesh was, look at how I changed it, and try to find a nice middle ground between them. Actually, one other thing I should check. Am I lined up over here? Close enough. It is fine. Just wanted to make sure that the tip of this strand wasn't noticeably lower. I think it's a little bit lower, but it's probably gonna be made a little bit higher as I go through this, and it didn't look bad, so basically I think it's fine. I think it's totally fine. Especially for this little strand in the middle of nowhere that people probably won't look at very much. Alright, as usual, I am going from the top of the strand to the bottom of the strand. Just gradually working my way down. And I think I got the top sorted out, so downward I go. Just doing my best to align everything here. Always easier said than done. See, this is why the first one is the easiest, because I don't have to match up the vertices with much of anything. I do have to match them up with here to a degree, but one angle is not very picky. Whereas as I keep going, I have to make sure it lines up with, like, everything. And it's less important that all of this is like not stretching in weird ways and all that. So what I have up here is the one that I've declared correct. See, I told you the strand to get a little bit shorter. We're gonna curl you a little bit. There we go. That's still fine, right? Yep, that is perfect. There we go, and now the ends have this cute little curl. I do like my cute little curls in my hair. Okay, that should be pretty good. Let's zoom out and check it visually. Little bit too round, it looks like. Yeah, I think it's a little bit too round. Me wanting to put more nice little curls in the hair, but I always forget that I made this part quite straight. So let's straighten it out a bit. I don't think it needs to be changed that much. Is that good? Yeah, I'd say that's fine. So now we get to do the derpy one. Oh my. Okay. How am I going to do this exactly? What do I do? Okay, I think first things first, I get it at least somewhat curling in the right direction. So that's gonna be kinda, I take a big brush and I just pull everything to the right like this. Okay, that still looks pretty bad, but is it closer? Kinda. Only kinda. The top of it was not fine. The top of it was not better. But the rest was. So let's just get it into a state where I feel like I can consult the mesh and work everything else out. Okay, this seems like a reasonable place. Still looks pretty bad, so I'm gonna have to stare at this mesh very intently in order to get everything where it needs to go. And I'm even gonna start on that area that's actually hidden by the side bangs. I think it's necessary in order to get some of the angles over here right. It's kind of like in sewing. I had been learning a little bit about sewing so I could fix some stuffed animals. And anytime there's a hole in a stuffed animal that you need to fix, the first thing you do is you put your thread in about, like, I don't know, a short distance away from where you actually want to start. So that this way the thread will be nice and secure once you actually get to the point that has the hole. You don't start right at the edge of the hole. Same logic here. By doing it like this, I will have something that looks okay a little further up, and I will not get distracted by random squirming, in theory. The fact that I'm relating rigging to me wanting to repair stuffed animals just goes to show that there's no such thing as wasted knowledge. Your brain will make connections out of anything. Brains are silly and amazing. They're such an interesting thing. Alright, looks like I'm almost there. We're at the bottom here, although I do find myself going back up a little bit. It's always a little bit hard because I can't match it one-to-one. Because the vertices do have to be a little bit higher up in order to properly match up with the way her head is moving. So I do have to leave a little bit of difference here. Can't just mindlessly make everything the same. Okay. So let's see how this looks. Does it still look derpy? No, but I think there's a little bit too much curl at the top. So, need to straighten that out just a little bit. Yeah, I see it. I know exactly what to do, so hopefully that'll be a little bit easier than getting the rest of it. Cause man, that strand, it sure was derpy beforehand. There's just so many levels of wrong that I wasn't even quite sure where to start, but I appeared to have untangled it all. And now it seems pretty okay. I wanted to straighten things there too. That is probably a little bit too much. Yeah, just a little bit. Let's actually back it up a little. Okay, that was too far. Maybe to like there. This kind of thing is a little bit hard to see with the mesh. I can at least make sure nothing is being stretched weird, but when it comes to getting the exact curls and various things like that I want, mesh is only mildly helpful. I kind of have to actually look at the art and use my eyes. Heaven forbid. But it's what I gotta do. Okay, that's fine. So, okay, that actually went a little faster than I thought it would. So that's all the stuff over here done until I decide to turn this strand back on. But I want to get the strand from hell totally right on all of my other turns too. Probably should have checked the top and the bottom before I did my right turns, huh? Because yeah, I see the top turn is actually kind of off too. Okay, so we'll do top turn next. Let's see, is there anything besides the bottom of that strand that I want to fix? No, the rest of it looks fantastic. And honestly, the bottom turn, just as a whole, looks pretty good. It's not perfect right there, but honestly, it's close enough that I do not feel inclined to fix it. I think it is just fine. But the top needs a little bit of work on the tip there. So I guess I'll do that first, before I go in and do my left turns. Yeah, it shouldn't be hard at all. Look at it. Look at those vertices squirm. I could fix that. Alright, that little first step actually helped a lot. So indeed, I do not think this will be too bad. I'm gonna start from right here, and I'm gonna stare again. So much staring today! But it's okay, I mean, that's what happens when I'm working with the mesh. I just stare and stare and stare. Because ultimately, when I go into staring at the mesh mode, I am working on details at such a small level that I have trouble following them with my eyes fully. Basically, I can tell that there's something wrong, but I generally can't pinpoint the exact thing that is wrong. Or, especially with little strands like this, there's a bunch of sliding or compression, where the vertices are getting too close together, too far apart, or their angles are changing so heavily that it just gets distorted. And I just need to know exactly where the bad things are happening in order to properly fix them. So it's like, I see it, but man, good luck actually picking out where the problem is in these circumstances. And thus, I stare at the mesh. Because the mesh can give me information that I cannot always see very well for myself. Okay, that should be fine. Let's take a look. Hopefully I didn't make it too long. Nope, I feel like that is raising just a fine amount. Yeah, it looks nice. And actually, now that I look at it, I think I should make the strand here just a little bit lower. Literally, I think I can just make that last vertex longer and it'll be fine. Yes, I am completely correct. Excellent. That is less work for me. So there's 2 more angles looking good. And now the last one. I kind of want to keep this curled a little bit more than it currently is. Let me make sure everything further up is looking good, though. Is there anything I wish to fix up here? That is my question for now. I'm looking right here, and I'm debating on whether or not the area here, just by the strand, is getting a little bit too thick there. Does it look like it is moving strangely? I think so. But I think that and the very tip are the only things that I think are moving strangely. Okay. So I guess this is what I touch next. So I just made this a little bit too thick. You know, I can see my logic in it. Let's go ahead and tone it down just a little bit. And see what that does for me. Okay. Yeah, I think that is much better. So now I can go and try to fix up the tip here. I'm gonna take another look at it, do some staring, and see if I can figure out what I don't like. I actually feel like there's another little piece right here that got a little bit thick. Yeah, there we go. Now it's nice and straight all the way through here. And I think that's exactly how it should be, because it is quite straight through here on just the default as well. Yeah, that looks pretty good in that area. So now I'm going to look over here and figure out what I want to do. I don't mind the strand being a little bit straighter, but I think I want to curl it just a little bit more. We'll leave the straight, really straight version for the right. And this one will be a little bit more curled. I think that'll look nice. And then I'll probably have to consult the mesh again and make sure that everything is, I don't know, matching up good. That I don't have anything like sliding all over the place and making certain parts of the strand thicker or more compressed or stretched in certain areas and all that good stuff. The usual, basically. I do want to double check that before I go into the corners. But man, at this rate, I might just be able to finish the strand from hell today too. We'll see how long I have until I get hungry. I have noticed that I have more stamina from streaming lately. And that is wonderful. When I first started, I used to be really tired after that first hour, but I think I'm starting to get used to everything. So, now, 2 hours doesn't feel so bad at all. Maybe I can even do 3. I know at some point I'm gonna have to change my schedule a lot because, well, my daughter's gonna start school and I'm gonna need to adjust my sleep schedule to compensate for that. Because right now my sleep schedule is very strange. I wake up at 11 p.m. local time. I go to bed at 11 p.m., not wake up at 11 a.m. I wake up at 11 p.m. Go to bed at about 2 or 3 p.m. Things just kind of worked out that way for reasons. It was really the only schedule I could have that let me do all the things that I wanted. Like, I would not be able to stream if I had a normal person schedule. And for a while I tried to go to bed at a more reasonable time, and by reasonable time I meant like 7 p.m. Which is still pretty early because I woke up pretty early. But at that point I didn't have very much time to draw. I was not able to really do anything with my husband ever, and it just made me sad. So I was like, screw it. We're getting up really early, so this way we have a little bit more overlap at the times when the kids are sleeping. And we can actually do some stuff together. So, it was a worthy sacrifice. Totally worth. But it's not really something I can keep doing while my daughter is at school. Because if I continued like this, I'd see her in the morning when it was time to get her ready for school. If I'm lucky, maybe she'd wake up a little bit early and I'd have time to do stuff with her before school. But for the most part, I get the feeling that I'd be waking her up for school and then going to bed before she got home. So I would just no longer be a factor in her life, and that is not acceptable to me. So I will be adjusting my sleep schedule accordingly, eventually. Don't know what that's going to mean for the stream schedule, but I will figure that out when the time comes. It's fine. Don't worry about it. This is my problem. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. Let me go ahead and consult the mesh and make sure that there's nothing that's just, like, super terrible here. Are all the vertices playing nice together? Not quite. It's like, especially down here, I want to make sure that all of them are... all the triangles are kind of pointed in the same direction. Because otherwise I'm going to have a harder time when it comes time to do the corners. Which is going to be right now. Right after I finish this. So I definitely have the energy to go do that. Okay, and this should be fine. Alright, let's go do those corners. Once again, the upper one is very derpy. Pain. So much pain. I am gonna have a lot to fix there. I think I might even want to fix the very back strand here a little bit. That it's not... Yeah. It's not. Oh god, but the bottom one has a lot more... Oh man. So... What do these do I do first? The bottom turn might actually have more wrong with it now that I look at it. Because I can see that way up here, like this entire side through here needs to be pushed to the left. I mean, look at it. It's just fanning out. Like, that's not natural, man. I laugh because otherwise I would cry. So that's a problem. The upper turn is kind of doing it too, just to a slightly lesser extent. The strand is also wrong. I'm gonna have to fix that. Is it fine? Is that strand okay up here? On these turns? It's really not, actually. Okay, I'll go ahead and fix that over here first. The curve here is not correct. It needs to be straighter. Okay, but that's better. And now this angle just has a small bump right here. And fortunately, it's not too bad, which is why I decided to fix this before jumping into the strand from hell in my corners. I'll procrastinate on it just a little while longer. Okay. And then I see that there's a bit of hair poking out here. It's still not quite there. Okay, let's consult the mesh here. This is a strand, so it is not surprising that it is not completely cooperating with me. That is pretty par for the course here. Okay, that should be fine. Let's see if it lines up better now. I'd say so. Okay, cool. Let me check the top and bottom turns here. I think both of those are looking good for both this strand and this strand. So it's just the corners that I did not align those strands quite right here. I guess to be fair, I said that I wasn't worried about this part so much until I was ready to work on strands. So I guess this is retribution for not doing it right then. This is what happens when you put things off. They have to get done eventually, and then you get to them and it's like, oh yeah, I still had to do that, didn't I? Oops. So here we are. Here we are. Okay. So I guess the first things first, I'm gonna go ahead and fix this strand in the left turn. I do not think I have to do very much in order to fix it. I just need to move the entire thing very, very slightly to the left, and I think all will be well. A little bit more. Just a little bit more. I just didn't feel like it was moving with her head properly. Looked like it was lagging behind a little bit. As you can see now, I'm trying to make the front vertices move a little bit more than the back ones, so that this way it'll even look a little bit thicker. Yeah, there we go. That's perfect. Okay, nice and straightforward. I think that looks pretty good, though. Okay, the tip needs to move a little bit further more. Little bit further. And while I'm at it, I think I will do a little touch more thickness here. There we go. Heck yeah, I like that a lot. Now I just have to make sure it lines up with the rest of her hair there. With everything going up here. Just gonna let her shake her head over there a few more times and see how everything looks. I think this highlight actually needs to be a little bit higher now that I look at it. It's like this is something else entirely, but let's see what the mesh says. I think the mesh agrees with me. Yep, all those triangles are pointing more downward than they should. And those are the triangles that control that highlight, so up here they go. Okay, yeah, I think that's good. So now I'm going to check this back strand here, because I think I'm going to have to kind of do all three of these together. So let me make sure that strand back there is exactly the way I want it to be. Kind of got a little bit of an awkward curl at the bottom there. But I think everything above that is good. So yeah, let's see what I can do with the bottom. It's possible that I just didn't make it long enough, and that is the best I can do here. Where are you? Here you are. Oh, yep, that's exactly what happened. Okay. We're fine then. There is nothing more I can do for that strand. Because it has to tuck in under the hair there. So that's the way it's gotta look. Okay. So I think before I go into the strands over here, I am gonna start with the tip of this one. If only because it'll be easier. I'm still terrified of having to fix all that. Pain. But okay, I can take it. Let's go. Let's start lighting up this guy. That could be fairly straightforward here. Just move the entire thing over here. Very carefully. Okay, and now I need to make the backside a bit thicker. So I will grab my trusty brush and do just that. The brush, destroyer of worlds, but very convenient. Lets me move so many things at once, and I just do not have to worry quite as much. It's very nice. Sometimes means I have to touch some things up afterward, but I can do that. It is so much easier than moving the vertices one by one. I would know because I rigged my Plicara model before the brush existed. So I had to move each vertex one by one. Or more accurately, I'd like highlight a group, move the entire group, and then have to kind of tease it out in order to make the movement look more natural. But yes, I did have to make my entire model without the brush. That was hard. It really was. Okay, so once again, it is mesh consulting time. Oh yeah, I'm just kind of asking the mesh where these things should be going. The mesh says that everything needs to go a little bit further to the left, so... well, that's what I did. Everything went a little further to the left. So that's what you do when you consult the mesh. You listen to it. You do your best to hear what the triangles are trying to tell you. I think it's like dividing tea leaves. Man, this mesh is actually kind of weird. It went into 2 rows fairly early on, so at this point I'm just working with the 2 rows. Just trying to make sure that everything stays relatively smooth here. I don't think I have to worry about moving a bunch of things around too much here. So I can just kind of afford to smooth things out as I go along, rather than at the end like I normally would. I always like it when I can do that. Because then everything gets to look nice, and I don't have to go through a phase where it's just endless smoothing. Or at the very least, when I do, it feels a little bit shorter. Because right here, I didn't get the center part quite right. It was, I don't know, bending forward. So I'm pulling out the back a little bit to make it straighter back there. How's this? Nope, nope, nope. Still not quite right. This problem up here. Let me look at it one more time to get a better idea of what I'm dealing with. Oh yes, the problem is up here. Let's see what the mesh has to say. No, strand from hell, go away. I am not touching you yet. Not yet. Let me wait just a little bit longer. Do an easier spot first. And then I pray a little bit later that the strand from hell will have mercy on me, and I will not be suffering for the next few days. Once again, I laugh because otherwise I would cry. Art is hard, and that strand just never quite cooperates with me. Okay, but I think this strand is starting to look pretty good. I think I've got most of the problems out. And now it's just kind of correcting the last little bits in order to get it all nice and lined up with my left turn. Does it line up with the bottom turn? Quite nicely, I'd say. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I can be happy with that. I think I want this highlight to come a little bit lower too. There's something squirming in there, and I assume it's this vertex. So we'll lower him just a tad. Still think I want to pull this guy out a little bit. And I'll figure out where that highlight needs to go. Right about there, apparently. That actually looks pretty good. Nice. So I needed to move it there again, but that was just because it needed to go a little bit to the right. Everything else about it was fine. Moving the highlight down worked quite well, looked pretty good. I was happy. But I did need to move it a little bit to the right in order to properly align this strand. Maybe not that far. The backside here is having a little bit of trouble. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I don't want to do the strand from hell yet, so I'll go ahead and fix the upper turn too. But I will be touching that strand from hell today. I'm not sure if I'll finish it today, but I'm gonna get it started. I'm gonna start with the lower turn. But first, this guy up here. Okay, so let's see what I gotta do with this. I think I can get most of it by, once again, just bringing the entire thing to the left, a little bit closer to her ear. And going from there. Yep, that is already significantly better. Still needs a little bit more work, but it is better. And that's what matters. Gotta start somewhere. So now, once again, I think I need to pull these rightmost vertices a little bit further back. Had to do something similar in the lower left turn. Nice. And I think that's most of it right there. Still needs a little bit of work, of course. Actually, I see that I missed a spot here, so I'm gonna grab that while I see it. Such is life. Easy to miss a spot here and there. Okay, but before I get into really touching it up... Oh, actually, the tip here is also curling a bit too hard. I need to make it a little bit straighter. But yes, before I touch up the upper left turn, I want to make sure that it aligns with the top turns as well. Okay. Are you aligning with the top turns? Okay. I'd say so. And here's aligning with the bottom turns. I would also say so. Okay, so basically all is well. So I can go in and start perfecting this strand here. I'm actually just going to jump right into consulting the mesh because I see some things are definitely just due to triangle angles being wrong. I don't even think I need to move it that much. And when the triangle angles are wrong, I find it easier just to consult the mesh. Mesh can tell me exactly where those triangles should point. These ones apparently need to be pointing like way up here, and I am surprised. I can forgive my past self for not pointing them like that, because that's quite a steep angle that they need to go at. Surprising even me. And here I am just correcting some stuff a little bit higher up too, because I happened to notice some things felt a little bit off, but I think everything up there is good now. So now it is time to come down here and to fix up the lower part of the strand here. Okay, there's not a lot squirming around at the top, so that bodes well. It's probably why I noticed more problems higher up than I did lower down. So all of these weren't too bad. Okay. And I think these minor tweaks are probably not going to show that much. I'll go ahead and check to make sure I have everything in order here. But otherwise, I think this is good. Let's go take a look, see if I managed to fix everything that I was seeing. Nice. She can move her head up and down. And that strand looks good. Okay. So now, strand from hell. I do not think I'm going to get very far on this. I am getting a bit hungry, and I'm definitely starting to feel tired after all that. But I do want to at least try to line it up a little bit here, and that's going to require an absolutely massive brush. Maybe not that. Maybe more around here. Because it needs to move over pretty far. Yeah, I think I can start with this. I'll go ahead and do the same for the top too. Just start pulling it into place. I don't think I have any more detail work in me, but I can do some of these bigger movements right now. Just get it started. So this way my future self will have just a little bit less to do. Okay. Still very much off. But it is a start. Now then, I'm gonna curl the bottom of this a little bit. Start getting that part of the strand into place. Okay, and that should leave me able to touch that up very nicely tomorrow. And let's do the same with up here. How exactly is this gonna work? Dunno, I think that might be something for my future self to figure out, but I could at least do this. And a bit smaller here. This, just kinda pull some of this over here. Kinda get that generic curl going, and then I'll smooth it out tomorrow. Okay, but I think it's in the right place vertically. And then, the last bit. This strand all the way in the back. He needs to come out more. Cannot be this shy. Must come out and show us its little face. Something like that. Yes, that should leave me plenty of room to just fix it up tomorrow. And we'll perfect that little curve. And that should make things look pretty good. And that'll be the last thing. The very, very last thing. Just over here. And then... yeah, there's a strand that comes off of here. I still have to do him. But... probably him and back hair tomorrow. I think... well, no, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Subnautica. Because tomorrow's Tuesday. Wednesday! Wednesday! We'll finish up that. The last bit there. The strand. And probably back hair. I think I can do all of that. With as long as I've been going, I think I can get all of that. Then face, then touch-ups. And... yeah, that'll be head turns. I would not be surprised if I could finish the head turns this week. If not this week, then probably early next week. Oh, exciting. Ah, very exciting. But for today, I think this is where I will stop. So, thank you all for coming, and I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. I'll see you all tomorrow for Subnautica.